going on, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports NBA Hardwood Show. I'm your host, Mangone. I'm here with Hoop. I'm here with Titletown. We're talking NBA. We'll talk to you first, Hoop. How's it going over there, man?
Yeah, going well. A little MLK NBA action, a lot of fun. The sites did it a little bit different. FanDuel is tipping off at noon Eastern. DK's tipping off at 2:30 Eastern. I don't hate it, honestly. I mean, I always like when they stagger the start times. You can really focus in on one site and then later focus in on the other. Josh is in the chat asking why so early. Well, that's why so early, because FanDuel, they started 12 a.m. Eastern, includes that Knicks Magic game, but a day full of basketball. Hopefully we don't get any postponements. We got the surprise one yesterday. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, looking forward to it as well. And that is why we're doing it here early, right? You said the FanDuel slate is at 12. And listen, you can always go back and rewatch it too. Obviously, some news can hit and change stuff up. We'll touch upon it as we get to those games. But I don't think that news is really, really massive. So we'll go over to you, Titletown. We were talking pre-show. We were talking some MMA is going to be on Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. We got hoops at 12 p.m. today. It's a crazy week. How's it going over there, Titletown?
Yeah, I mean, what a week. Looking ahead at everything, I saw some morning basketball, afternoon basketball, which is always awesome. Just reminds me of baseball during the day games. So any action during the day is fun. And then MMA right now, we have a 14-fight schedule card on Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern time. So there's nothing better than a whole day of fights leading up to NBA slate. So definitely going to be an awesome week. We have the divisional rounds that get to the Super Bowl on Sunday. So Packers, hopefully they get there. It's going to be a great sports week. A lot of big contests. So excited to jump in today. Plenty of action, 2 slates on both sites that are going to the early only in the main slate. So plenty of money to be made like always.
Yeah, and before we get into it, Hoop, we got to talk. Like, are we doing the stream again? It's going to be me, you, and Big T. We're going to have our Rodgers jersey on. You're going to have your Brady jersey for the championship game.
We got to do it. Yes, you just locked it in. That's definitely happening. We're going Brady jersey versus the Rodgers jersey. It's going to be a team. It's going to be a tag team though. It's going to be you and Tony versus me, because I know you're putting your Rodgers jersey on for.
Of course. Yeah, my Rodgers jersey will be on. I thought that was funny. I just thought about that the last time we did that. It did not go so well for me. So
that was that matchup. That's funny.
That'll be fun to watch.
But now the problem is I'm tempted to buy another jersey, because just a quick little story here. My son loves playing sports. He's 6 years old, loves playing sports. He wants to play every sport: baseball, basketball, football. Finally just started getting into watching sports, and huge Patrick Mahomes fan, like massive Patrick Mahomes fan. So we've got him a Mahomes jersey for Christmas. He wants to wear it nonstop. He was devastated yesterday when he went down, but I might have to get myself a Mahomes jersey now.
Look at you. Hoop is changing. He might be wearing some jersey
life, baby.
Jersey life. The kids can do that to you. So, we'll see. Do you have any picks? Like, who do you like to make it to the Super Bowl? Let's go with those before we dive into the NBA.
Well, I mean, we're assuming that Mahomes is playing, right? He has to play, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna find a way.
Bills.
Yeah. No Carson Wentz, so he's gonna certainly be out there. Man, I mean, I hate to be. I mean, I really want Packers Chiefs. Okay, like that's what I really want to see, that matchup. Like I really want to see it, and I think that's what we get. I mean, I don't know. Like that was. I mean, the Saints, Drew Brees. That was tough to watch yesterday, and I'm not discrediting the Tampa Bay win by any means, but I don't think they necessarily won that game. I mean, I think a very below average team in the NFL could have taken care of the Saints yesterday. It was really sad to see that from Drew Brees. So I think we're getting Packers Chiefs.
Yeah, I hope we get Packers Chiefs. I know me and Title hope we get Packers Chiefs, but also this, like, if for some reason the Chiefs don't make it, like I wouldn't hate Buffalo being there. I don't want to see the Bucs. I just feel like I want to see 2 talented quarterbacks sling the ball around. Not to say Brady's not talented. I shouldn't say that, but I guess I want to see they're more fun to watch on the eyes, I guess is the best way to put it. But hey, I will say if Brady does make it again, and he definitely can, it'll be fun. Obviously, whenever he's in there, it's always fun. You have people who love him and people who hate him, and that always causes a great Super Bowl. So I think either quarterback that we get in there, it's going to be fun to watch, and I can't wait. But I'm hoping Green Bay gets in there for my sake, and I'm sure Title, you're in the same camp, right? Is that what you want as well?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely confident Packers are a better team than the Bucs at home. Yeah. So I got Green Bay penciled in there. And Mahomes, it's definitely, I mean, I think he plays. I've been Chiefs Packers this whole way. And I mean, to be honest, think the Chiefs probably beat the Packers. I'm getting a little warming up to the Packers though, but I just think Patrick Mahomes is out of this world talent. This guy's just insane. But yeah, I mean, he obviously is not right. When he stood up, he was not in the right state of mind. So
Jeez,
you get a whole week though. Hopefully he's okay. You don't want to win with Chad Henne in there to get to the Super Bowl. So you want all the best players playing. I hope Mahomes is there, but the Bills definitely have a chance. Josh Allen, Diggs. It's going to be a lot of fun on Sunday. I can't wait.
Oh yeah, and I feel like if you are the Bills, so you kind of do want to take out the Chiefs with Mahomes, right? You don't want that. It feels like there's an asterisk. Like, you don't want that. You want to kind of, not that you want to earn it, but you want to definitely make sure it's a big game that you kind of took out the big dog, right? Because everyone knows Mahomes is that guy. But let's dive in. Let's talk some NBA. Before we do that, I want to mention, guys, please hit that like, hit that subscribe on the video. All you got to do, it's in the bottom right or right below us. I think right below me on the video, actually, as I'm looking at the video on my second screen. Hit that like button. Appreciate it a ton. All you got to do is hit that, click on it, and then subscribe as well. And when you subscribe to the video, you get to watch all the other content that we have going on over here at Run Pure Sports. We got PGA videos that are Tuesday night that Hoop is on. We got the NBA Final Countdown, which I believe might be free tonight. So you got that to attend to. You got all of the games that we have all week long. So check it out, guys. Tons of shows for you guys to watch. Hit that subscribe button. Hoop. Let's dive in. Let's talk about this game. You said you love this slate, right? So talk about Knicks, talk about Magic, and give a little slate overview for the people, because you're loving this FanDuel slate.
Yeah, I mean, we got some relatively close spread games. I mean, nothing too crazy, so you don't really have to worry about blowouts. We got injury news. We have value. We have studs to pay out for. It's kind of a little bit of everything. I mean, so I really like this 4-game slate. I like the 3-game slate on DK as well. I mean, the one difference is obviously you get the Magic and the Knicks, and that game is not all that appealing. I think there's a couple plays. Obviously this is only for FanDuel, but like Aaron Gordon continues to be really cheap on FanDuel, 6.5K, back to playing full allotment of minutes. Expect this game to be close, so certainly he's in play. Cole Anthony, probably going to play around 30 minutes. I think he's a fine value option. And you got the same story with the Knicks. I mean, we talked about it every single time we're on these shows. Like, these guys are just going to play the minutes. They're going to play a ton of minutes. Julius Randle, Alfred Payton. If Mitchell Robinson, is he questionable? I know you mentioned it in the pre-show. I didn't see anything on him.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
he's
so
questionable with the knee.
Yeah, so if he were to miss, you get another value piece in Nerlens Noel. But the slate overall is really good. I mean, Aaron Gordon would definitely be the standout play here. You can always play Vooch in tournaments. The price tag is a little bit too high for cash games, but in tournaments, he's always a guy that can go out there and get you 50 or 60. On the Knicks side, it's going to be the same dudes for me, like Alfred Payton, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson if he's out there. If Mitchell Robinson's not, we get another value, like I said, in Nerlens Noel. But this game's only on the FanDuel slate. If you don't want to go overboard here and kind of backload, that's not a bad idea either, just because we know, probably get some more news. 3 games starting at 2:30 Eastern, 3 Eastern, 3 Eastern. We'll get some news. I mean, we already have CJ McCollum out, so there's a ton of Blazers guys that we can look to. Waiting on a little bit of news in Miami with Hero, whether or not he plays. If he's out, I think Dragic becomes a really, really good play. Duncan Robinson again, that KZ Okpala, I guess.
Okpala, you did pretty good, Hoop. That's not bad for you.
Yeah, that's not too bad. I'm not a name pronouncer guy, but that was that had to be in the ballpark. You get Olynyk. I mean, there's just a ton of plays on the slate. FanDuel, DraftKings, but like I said, this first game, the Magic Knicks, only on FanDuel. Aaron Gordon, I think, is a premier play, and then we have some other options that we can consider. And then if Robinson's out, you get Noel as a value as well.
Okay, Hoop. So here's a question for you. So Enes Kanter likely is going to have a ton of ownership over on FanDuel, right? Because he's 6.3K and there's no Nurkic. It's a really good spot for him. What if you pay up for Vucevic? Now he's expensive at 9.9K, but we know the Knicks like to play big. And Vucevic is a guy that you kind of can get worried about playing because of blowouts at times. But if he's going to play all of the minutes, right? I mean, he's going to absolutely smash. Look at the game log. I mean, 35 minutes against Brooklyn, 67.5. Milwaukee, he played 31 minutes, 47.1. And then Dallas, 33 minutes, 57. He had that one rough game against Boston where he had 25 minutes and only 33.2. But I expect this game to be close. Vegas expects this game to be close. In tournaments, do you think Vucevic is a great pivot off of a guy like Kanter?
Yeah, we know where people are going at center. It's most likely going to be Cantor. You also have Olynyk is center eligible. He's cheap. Vooch is going to come in at low ownership, and we, like I said, like he's a guy that can easily go out there and just get you a quick 50, 60 burger, and you take it and you move on. I think it's a fine. He's probably my favorite tournament option on the slate. We know Cantor is going to be popular. Olynyk will probably be popular as well. Those two will soak up a ton of ownership at center. Guy like Vooch is going to be a little bit low. Even Capella will be owned as well on this slate at 7K. So I think he's a great tournament option. Definitely my favorite tournament play in this game.
All right, Titletown, I'll head on over to you. Again, this is on the FanDuel slate. We got Orlando, we got New York. How are you handling this game? And how are you handling it with like swapping, right? Are you going to lock yourself into too many guys? Are you going to just backload the entire team for FanDuel? How are you handling that one?
Yeah, so it's definitely not a game you want too many pieces of. It's a 206.5 over under, which is by far, it's like 12 points lower than the next closest game on the 4-man slate. So not a game I'm looking to target too much. The big news is Mitchell Robinson. If he plays, I think he makes for a good tournament play on FanDuel, though. 5,800, nobody's going to play him. You're locking your first spot. You're locking in center. So people don't want to do that. And Mitchell Robinson, he's affordable price tag at 5.8K. I'd rather go there than Vooch and save the 4,000. Mitchell Robinson, we always know, fits with FanDuel, scoring really well with stocks, has a ceiling. So I think he makes sense. Aaron Gordon's in play as well, 6,500 power forward. Just playing a lot of minutes now, solid player like Coop said. So I'm fine there. Terrence Ross and Cole Anthony too, 5,300 for Ross, 5,000 for Cole Anthony. I like Terrence Ross a little more because we have McCollum out, so Dame, that's locking up a point guard spot. Then you're locking in both years if you're going Cole Anthony. And Terrence Ross, I just like him as a player. He gets in the second unit. He absolutely chucks it. If he's getting hot, hits his first couple threes or something, then he just keeps shooting and stays in there longer. So he's a guy that you really want to start off hot because then he keeps going and shooting. But 5,300, he has a bunch of upside for sure. Other than that, not really targeting this game too much on FanDuel. It's Aaron Gordon and it's Mitchell Robinson news. I'll play him if he's in tournaments. I think he's good. If he's out, then it's Nerlens Noel. Julius Randle gets even a bigger boost. And then some of these Knicks guys get in play. I saw someone in chat ask for DraftKings Showdown just because it's the first game and people want action. So I'll go over that really quick. I think it's either Vooch or Randle at the captain spot. I just, by far, the two highest raw points people on the slate. I'd want to get both of them in. Whoever one you like more in tournaments, or whoever you like more, just play at the captain spot. Aaron Gordon stands out too. He's just dominating. Like I said, he's only 9,000, tons of minutes in this game. Dwayne Bacon's seen his minutes increase a lot too. He's my favorite value at 3,600. He's just a good player too. He comes off screens. He shoots the ball. He's aggressive. We always talk about value guys that just don't sit in the corner and do nothing all game. You want guys actually active. Dwayne Bacon's one of those guys. Then you got like RJ Barrett. You got Alfred Payton. You got those other complimentary guys on the Knicks that are going to play the minutes that you know are safe. So I think you go more so with the Knicks, and then you mix in Vooch, Aaron Gordon, and Dwayne Bacon as your Orlando Magic guys.
Man, what a man of the people. Someone in the chat just asked for content on a different slate, and Title just dives right in and has all the plays. I mean, geez, what a hero.
Waking up feeling good on this nice morning.
Title's been up 5 and 6 a.m. grinding all these slates. MLK Day is a grind. There is a lot of basketball going on. No, listen, it is an absolute grind for the people, and Title's out here giving you all the winners. Hoop, do you got to take if you're doing this showdown slate? Like, would you pick Randall or Vucevic? Really tough call. I think I kind of lean Vucevic, but man, it's close.
Yeah, it's super close, and I agree with you. I'd probably lean Vucevic, but man, it's a true toss-up. I mean, it really is. Both guys playing a ton of minutes. Both guys can contribute across the board. It would be a toss-up. I'd probably lean Vooch, though.
Yep, I'm with you on that. Let's go on. Let's talk about this next game. But before we do that, I wanted to mention we have a nice little promo going on over here. We got Workbench 21. It gets you 25% off your first payment. And we got the NFL content going on here. Hoop, I know it's early in the week, but talk to the people. We kind of did the NFL content last week. What do you think the plan's going to be for this week?
Yeah, this week, I mean, we got the 2-game playoff slate. We'll have a ton of content covering that, all our normal stuff, the playbook, core plays, tiers, rankings. And then, I mean, NBA is obviously going strong all week. We got the early MMA on Wednesday. Is that right, Title? Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, Title's playbook. I mean, I say it every time. I think it's by far like the best piece of MMA content in the industry, and it's really not even close. Like, it's just phenomenal. I mean, it's just so easy to go in there and get a good overall grasp of the slate, full fight breakdowns. Just such a good piece. Title does a phenomenal job with that. We've got PGA going this week. We'll have our PGA show Tuesday night. We'll have our PGA playbook with core plays. And rounds 1 through 4 showdown content as well. So just a ton of stuff. And like I said, on the shows over the weekend, I mean, if you want to just try it out, for a week, it would cost you $15 with that promo code. You try it for a week. If you don't like it, get the hell out. You can just leave. But I think you're going to like it because we have a very solid product out there that is much different than the competitors in the industry.
Yeah, no, the product's absolutely awesome. And speaking of MMA, Titletown, before we kind of go into this next team, I want you to talk about the MMA going on Wednesday. Like you were kind of mentioned before, there could be a nice little edge for us possibly. Like talk about this 9 a.m. MMA slate.
Yeah, so it's just something we've never really seen. Obviously, with the pandemic, everything, it just changed everything. And Fight Island's over there in Abu Dhabi, so way different time zones. And they just, they must want to get, I don't know why they're doing it so early in the morning. I was surprised. I had to double check too, but hey, they have a plan, 8 or 9 a.m. Eastern. And there's been fights getting canceled the day of pretty much every card. So it's going to be no different probably this week. And they don't care about what time it starts. If something happens, a fight's canceled. So definitely have to set your alarm. And people just don't set their alarm. Like last week, there was a fight. Imova and Hawes was fight canceled. And there were like 10% owned combined or 11% owned combined in the main GPP. And that's just paying the rake. Like these niche sports, especially MMA, they became very popular from what it used to be. A bunch of new people playing, but people aren't checking on a Saturday with NFL and stuff on. So definitely a big edge. I'm always in Discord, updating the playbook, doing all that. I'll be up Wednesday morning, bright and early, even earlier than this. And I'll be in the same mood. Fights all day on a Wednesday morning are good. So I think there's a big edge for sure. A lot of fights too. So I'll have it all covered. Cash, GPPs, MMA has been very, very good for me. I know been very good for a lot of people too. So if you're not in, I mean, it's once a week most of the time too. Doesn't take much time. I spend a lot of time on the playbook, core plays. Shouldn't take a lot of time to build lineups. So I'm excited for it too. Wednesday will be a lot of fun for sure.
Yep, it's going to be a good time. Guys, please hit that like, hit that subscribe on the video. We got about 182 people watching. We got 62 likes. Hoop, what's the number we want to give the swag away at? We don't have as many people in here, so maybe go hit that retweet on our Run Pure Sports video to kind of spread the word because it's at a different time than normal. People might not know that we're live, but Hoop, what number do you want to hit here to give away some swag?
Yeah, you got to help us out a little bit. Well, it's a low number of viewers right now because it's 10 a.m. and people come through and rewatch it. But I think we can get to it's got to be more than half just because we're only at one. Let's get to 110. Get to 110, and we'll give away a piece of gear.
All right, and then hopefully we get some more people filed in here watching this show, and then maybe we'll give away another piece of swag for the people. So if you guys spread the word and get more guys in here, we can get some more swag given out. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get Tony sent to FedEx ASAP for the people. We know Hoop loves that. So check that out. Let's dive in though. Let's talk about this next game. This is a fun one. This is the Hawks. This is the Timberwolves. And before we dive into the game, I don't know if you guys know this. One of my friends, he says the Hawks never lose on Martin Luther King Day. But I looked last year, they lost, but they win a ton. They had a nice little 5-game win streak.
Last year and they lost.
I think it was, yes. But the Pope blessed their jerseys today. So you can't tell me you're betting against the Pope, right? The Hawks got to win today. They play the terrible Timberwolves. But this game should be absolutely fun for DFS, right? You got teams that don't play any defense at all. I want to attack these teams. I want to get the offenses here. Hoop, how are you handling this game?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good DFS game. I mean, on the Timberwolves side, I mean, they're going to be without Karl Anthony Towns, which opens up a ton of usage for the rest of the guys. So I think, D'Angelo Russell can just be such a frustrating guy to roster for DFS purposes, but it's been pretty steady lately. You have to imagine he gets up in this matchup against Trae Young. I think it's a good spot for him. Malik Beasley is a guy I've been playing a little bit, but the price tag's come up a little bit, and I'm not overly thrilled to pay the current price tag on Beasley. So I'll probably be out on him. I mean, 6-6 on FanDuel, 7-2 on DK, just a little bit too rich for me. And then you get some value plays. Okogie, Vanderbilt, I think both in play here. I mean, Vanderbilt is a guy, has a lot of upside. We really haven't seen much of it lately, but it's a good opportunity for him here. Should be able to get minutes into the upper 20s. So I think he's a strong option. On the Hawks side, Trae Young, it's been a frustrating DFS season, fantasy season for him so far. It seems, if they get blown out, he completely busts. If they do the blowing out, he doesn't get his full complement of minutes, and he's just a little bit short of getting what we want. I think this is a spot where he can go absolutely off. I'm going to be on Trae Young quite a bit here today. Cam Reddish is questionable. If he's out, I think we can go back to a guy like Kevin Huerter, who started and played well. John Collins, man, he's been a frustrating roster. I mean, the addition of Clint Capella has really, really hurt his fantasy value. Not paying the 7-2 on DK, but he's 6-6 on FanDuel. Not a building block type play, but if he's like a last guy in or something like that, I'm fine playing him at 6-6. Probably not 7-2 though. And then Capella's been good. I mean, when in close games, he has big performances. Another guy much better on FanDuel. He's 7K, I believe, on FanDuel. DK 7.5K, most likely will not go there. But like I said, if Reddish is out, Kevin Huerter I think becomes a strong play. Another guy, I mean, all these Hawks guys, much better price on FanDuel post DK. I mean, Herder's 5.7 on DK. On FanDuel, he's like 5K. So the more I look at this, I think, Trae Young's in play, both sites. But the rest of these guys, more FanDuel plays opposed to DK plays for me.
Yeah, Hoop, I'll hit you with the FanDuel play real quick, or a question, actually. So how are you handling the shooting guard position with Huerter and Reddish? Are you planning on putting Huerter in there, and then you can pivot down to Reddish and then figure out the $500 and what you want to do with it, or leave it on the table? How are you kind of handling that entire situation? Because that's something I kind of looked at, because when I was running some optimals and kind of checking everything out, I noticed it was paying down at shooting guard. So I was trying to figure out, will Huerter maybe not get as much ownership because people might gravitate to Ross in the early game as an option, who I saw was popping a little bit. That's my question.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good situation to do that. I mean, utilize the late swap on the slate that starts, at noon. It's going to be 2.5 hours before this game, because if Reddish is in, he's a good play at 4.5K. If he's out, Herder's a good play at 5K. So make sure you just have 5K for that spot. And if Reddish is out, you can kind of just roll with Huerter. If Reddish is in, you can just roll with Reddish and, maybe look for an upgrade, but you don't necessarily have to upgrade. It's fine leaving $500 on the table or a little bit more. It's a good situation. It was one that I was looking at as well when I kind of put some initial builds together this morning.
Yeah, Title 10, I'm going to go to you for this question. So I was looking at the slate, just kind of like I said, I was looking to maybe pay up at shooting guard. I looked at D'Angelo Russell, and I like to play D'Angelo Russell when he's against really bad defenses, right? Because that's when I think he can capture his ceiling. And I looked at the schedule, man. So he played Denver, the 2 times. He hit 56 fantasy points, one game, 39 another. Then he hit 34, 33, 39, and 41. And part of me was like, man, he's been so safe and consistent, but will his ceiling get hit? That was my one fear with him. There's no Karl Anthony Towns today, though. So this is a spot where it can definitely happen. Do you think D'Angelo Russell is a good or bad spend-up option on FanDuel at 8.1K?
I think he's a good spend-up option just because it's a 4-game slate and we're pretty not interested in the first game. So it's pretty much a 3-game slate and his price tag's affordable. I'm with you guys though. Like, I'm not usually a D-Russ person either, just because he's always more of a GPP play because his floor is just not safe. Like, he gets 36 minutes last game, then 4 games ago he's at 28 minutes. I see 25 minutes, 30 minutes, 31, 37. Like, you just don't know. If in a close game, he's going to absolutely smash. So today, I think I'm going to be banking on that. Only 4 games, 1 game we don't like too much. So got to find people with a ceiling, and D-Russ is definitely one of those guys. Great matchup, no Towns. If there's ever a day for D-Russ to go off, you feel like today's the day. So I'm with you on there for sure. Talking about like the Hawks guys, I'm with Hoop. FanDuel priced them, or they're way more affordable on FanDuel than they are DraftKings. The only 2 I have interest in on DraftKings are Capella and Trae Young as pay-ups. The other guys, just like DeAndre Hunter, no way I'm paying $6,100 for him. I'm not paying $7,200 for John Collins. So Hawks guys, it's either Trae Young, Capella, or I'm off them. but Timberwolves are very, very affordable on both sides. Okogie and Vanderbilt stand out as the best plays on both sides. Both just too cheap for their role. Hernan Gomez out, Ricky Rubio out, knocked Towns out. Like, they just got people out. They need people to get run. They're too cheap for this spot. So I like them there. Even Jarrett Culver, he's 3,900 on DraftKings, more expensive on FanDuel. So not looking at him as much over there, 4,100 at a small forward position. But Jarrett Culver is shooting guard, small forward eligible, only 3,900 on DraftKings, and can get you more of the stars and scrubs route if you want to go that way. The Timberwolves are going to be how you need to do it. So I don't mind them. D Russ is the spend up on both sites, and then the value I like with Okogie, Vanderbilt. And then I will say Naz Reid too. On FanDuel, I like him more, but he's a good play on DraftKings too. He's only center eligible, which is the problem though. Well, he's power forward on FanDuel, but Naz Reid's a decent player. He's a good player when he gets the minutes. They're going to need to use the size again. I know he's burned people this year, so people might be hesitant, but I like this Minnesota team a lot, but they're going to be chalky with value for sure.
Yeah, speaking of the chalky value, Hoop, how many Minnesota guys is too many, right? How would you handle that in your cash games? How would you handle that in maybe tournaments? Because obviously, again, you want to capture a really nice floor, but you can't play 5 Timberwolves. I don't think you're winning a GPP with that, like one of those $15, 100Ks the first. But break that down a little bit for the people.
Yeah, kind of think it varies cash games versus tournaments. Like in cash games, I mean, all three of us are primarily cash game players. We know when the spot's good and the team's thin, you just load up and you're willing to play 5 guys from the same team if need be. In tournaments, you kind of have to have a different mindset. You don't want to really do that because you are kind of capping your upside a little bit. So in tournaments, you're probably looking at 3 to 4 max. I don't think you want to go more than that, so you can kind of capture all the fantasy production. When you play 5 guys, more times than not, at least one of them kind of bust. And, in NBA DFS this day and age, it's tough to survive with a full-on bust. So in cash games, I think we all agree we're always fine just loading up and going five guys if we have to. But in tournaments, probably 3, right? You probably don't want to go more than that.
Yeah, I don't think I want to go more than that. One thing that kind of brings it to mind is last night I was looking at the Pelicans, right? And there was Zion and Ingram, and a lot of optimals were spitting out Zion and Ingram. And I was like, I don't want to play like both of them. I only want to play one. And I don't know if I want to play the guessing game too. Like, I want to make sure that I get these guys in, but I also want to create a ceiling for myself too, because I'm not just entering cash games, I'm also entering like some multipliers, stuff like that. So think about the contest that you're in and how you want to build your lineup out. But yeah, I agree. I don't think I want to go over 3. I think 2 is still fine as well. And we have a lot of really good value too, also on the Trailblazers. So this isn't a slate where we just have like one set of value. We could even get more value that opens up if Tyler Herro is out. So that's something to look at as well. Titletown, how about you? How many Timberwolves is too many Timberwolves for you in cash games and in tournaments?
Yeah, so cash games, there's no such thing as too many as much as the sites allow me. Like when we had the Sixers and the Heat chalk and all that, I just played 5 of them. They were just way too cheap for the slate. And it also depends on the size of the slate. Today, though, since you mentioned there's other value on the Timberwolves and stuff, I still, like I said, cash games don't mind. Tournaments, though, like I'm capping myself at 3 max probably for value, especially just because you are limiting your upside. You're capping your upside just because you don't expect 3 or 4 Timberwolves or 5 Timberwolves, especially to all hit their ceiling unless you're expecting OT and then you're just game stacking that whole game. So I think it's capping your upside when you're going 4 or 5, especially on a slate like this where they don't stand out as just home run plays. Like they're good plays for sure, but they aren't home. Like Josh Okogie can bust any single game. Jarrett Culver can bust any single game. Like we've seen it happen. So I think 3 max for tournaments is good. Otherwise, you're capping your upside too much. Cash, you never worry about it. You're just building what you believe to be the best floor with a possible ceiling a little bit. So cash games don't care. Tournaments, I'd say 3.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point. Like Josh Okogie could bust, and if Josh Okogie busts, like Anthony Edwards maybe gets there or Culver. Like you have to try and figure out if you think one of these guys busts and you're going to take a heavy approach on fading him, you should probably get exposure, right? If you're going to fade D'Angelo Russell, and you just think he absolutely busts, Malik Beasley might be the reason why. Like he might have a really nice ceiling game. So just kind of look at that. I think that's really important to do when you're building out your teams, when you're building out your stuff for tournaments. But again, we're cash game guys. We're the chalk donkeys here. And,
I like that call. The whole Anthony Edwards he's a stud of a player. Like this guy can score when he comes in. He's shooting the ball. Like when he comes in, he's commanding the whole usage. It's like Lou Will a couple years ago with the second unit. Like it's his team. So I like him a lot in tournaments. I played him in cash like a couple times this year too. I don't think this is a slate where you need it in cash games just because he can go 2 for 13 and then not get you there. But he's always in play for tournaments. So he's 4,600 on DraftKings. That's a good point you made, because if D Russ doesn't get there, I'm not sure as much it'll be Beasley in that thing. It might be Edwards getting hot in the second unit and then just rolling with the hot hand more so. So good point on that for sure.
Yeah, and the other thing about Beasley about Edwards that I saw is the coach basically said, like, he's talented. Like, we need to find a way to get him on the floor. Now, they haven't lately, but I will say this is a matchup where he can absolutely feast in, right? The Hawks defense, like a young rookie is going to probably do really well against some bad defenses. So, again, a pretty interesting spot there.
That's just like Saunders is such a dumb coach. Like I saw that comment too. And like, how dumb can you possibly be? We need to find a way to get him more minutes. Look at your effing roster. I mean, look at your roster. What do you mean you need to find a way to get him more minutes? Put him on the court. Like, you
spend the first pick in the draft for a guy to sit on the bench and watch Malik Beasley play 40 minutes a night. It's insane.
Yeah, and you have your roster sucks. Like, I mean, just put him on the court and play him. Saunders is a moron.
Yeah, the only thing like I can think of is like, I don't know, maybe he's like trying not to kill his confidence because he's playing bad. I don't know, but he's
the most confident. If you listen to any of his interviews or anything, this guy's the most confident guy you'll ever talk to. Have you seen any of his interviews or something?
No, I do think you're right, because I remember looking at him pre-draft and I remember him just being like, he seemed like he's pretty cocky too, and just doesn't care at all. So I think you're right. I haven't seen like it in the NBA, but I remember pre-draft he seemed like that. So
I'll have to send you a LinkedIn interview. If anyone hasn't seen it, just type in Anthony Edwards interview or something. But it's like a minute 15 of him just hyping himself up. So he definitely doesn't lack confidence. I know that for sure.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. Hoop, any final thoughts here on this game? You want to move on to the next one?
That's a good one. I mean, now that I look at it a little bit more, I think I like Russell a little bit more than I did after we talked it through. I mean, man, you look at the Timberwolves and who they're rolling out there. I mean, if this game stays close, I mean, is there any way that Russell doesn't have a big game? I mean, if this game stays close and competitive, no Rubio either. We didn't really mention that. I mean, that's also a boost. Yeah, I like Russell a little bit more after we talk through it.
All right, let's move on to the next game. Guys, hit that like, hit that subscribe on the video. It helps us out a ton. And we're only one like away from giving away that swag, right? So I'm sure we'll get it right here. Hoop, we got 224 people watching. Actually, we got the 110, my bad.
I said 110, yeah. They'll get there, though.
We're not there yet, 11. So after this next game, we'll probably give away the swag. Just got to hit that like. It's right below me on the screen. So if you're looking at my ugly mug, just hit that like on it. And, you guys can get it there. But let's go to Pistons. Let's go to the Miami Heat. And I mean, this is going to be pretty big, right? This is a 3:00 game. It's 30 minutes after the Timberwolves Hawks. Hopefully we get the news on what's going to happen with Tyler Hero. They've had tons of, different things going on with their lineups that I wouldn't be surprised if you saw some type of goofy, wonky lineup change. We'll go to you first, Titletown. Break it down for me. How are you handling this Heat situation?
Yeah, so the Hero news was obviously huge. He's now the point guard of the team. He does so much for it. He commands so much usage. So he matters a ton. If he's out, there's going to be a bunch of guys, Dragic, Bam, because they still got Jimmy Butler out too. So definitely going to need ball handlers, Gabe Vincent, Duncan Robinson, Olynyk, it just becomes a massively Heat chalk slate. And that's why on FanDuel, you don't want to lock in a lot of these first games, just because if news breaks a certain way, Hero's out and you already locked in a couple spots for FanDuel, you're pretty much drawing dead, you think, because these guys just stand out as awesome plays. So Miami's one of the biggest news on the slate for sure. Olynyk, Bam, Dragic, Hero, Duncan Robinson, Gabe Vincent. I know that's a lot of guys, but all those guys are in play if Hero's out. If he's not, I'm going to limit Gabe Vincent and Duncan Robinson and then add Tyler Hero in play on both sites, just because I think he'll go a little lower owned. He's a tournament play only, though. If he does play, 7,300 on DraftKings is more than I want to pay in cash games for sure. 6,500 on FanDuel is a little more affordable, but he definitely is always in play in tournaments just because he has that ceiling. And anybody that's questionable that gets ruled in, people tend to get scared of usually. So I like that. As far as the Pistons side, I never really have interest in too many of these guys. The only one I'm interested again is Mason Plumlee, and that's just because his price is affordable and he's active. He gets boards, gets putbacks and stuff. So it's the Heat guys with Hero news, and then it's Mason Plumlee is the only guy I have interest in Detroit.
All right, Hoop, we got your Detroit Pistons here on the slate. They're such a great basketball team. I'm sure you love watching all their games every single night. Break down the Pistons and then head on over to the Heat real quick and break down that entire situation, how you're handling that injury news.
And thank God for NBA League Pass, so I don't have to turn on one Pistons game. It's a true blessing. Let me tell you.
Hoop, could you? I don't know if you have family members. Do you have like a family member who's like a diehard Pistons fan and like watches the game every single night, like an uncle or something like that? Because that would be a brutal time.
I used to. My brother's business partner is he's a season ticket holder, and he has courtside seats, and he just loves going to basketball games. And they actually, I was just talking to my brother about it last night. They roped him into paying for this entire NBA season, paying for tickets, knowing that they're not going to have any fans basically, and they'll take that money and apply it to 2022 season. So my brother, because they run it through their business account, my brother said, he's like, I'm calling the Pistons tomorrow. I'm getting that thing reversed. He's like, I have no clue why my business partner would do that. So, yeah, I mean, the Pistons, for a DFS perspective, just a good team to avoid night in and night out. I mean, there's just no reason to go there. I mean, we have a slate with a ton of guys, and I agree. I mean, the only one that I'd even remotely consider is Mason Plumlee. It would be in tournaments, and I don't think you need a lot of ownership to get over the field on him. His minutes appear to be steady in the upper 20s, and he can contribute across the board. The Heat, we need the news. I mean, if Hero's out, I mean, tons of guys get a boost. Robinson, Dragic, all the other guards that you guys talked about, Bam, Olynyk, like everyone gets a big boost. Bam looked good. I mean, I've said some bad things about Bam on here. I don't think he's the most skilled player, but he looked good last time out. And in this matchup with the Pistons, I'd be willing to go to him regardless of whether Hero's in or not. He returned last game and he played 34 minutes. So, he's back to full time on the court, and I think he's a strong play. Duncan Robinson, better play on FanDuel again. The pricing, DK kind of priced a lot of guys up today. So Duncan Robinson's 5'9" there, 5'2" on FanDuel. Dragic 5'5" on FanDuel, 6'1" on DK. So this is probably the biggest news we're waiting on for the slate. So we should get it. It's a 2:30. On DK, it's a 2:30 start time, 2:30 Eastern. This game starts 30 minutes later. We should have it by then. And then on FanDuel, don't go overboard in that first game, and you'll have a ton of flexibility to adjust. But they have some guys in play regardless of Hero status, and if Hero's in, I like them. So it's the main piece of information that we're kind of waiting on, I think, for this slate.
All right. I do want to ask you, Titletown, we got a little question in the chat. Any Jeremy Grant exposure? We know it's not wet from the Discord chat, who absolutely hates Jeremy Grant. He did finally take the L. I don't know if you saw it. He took the L to me. But do you think Jeremy Grant's an interesting play? Because, dude, I get it. He's not he's not LeBron James or anything, but the usage he's seeing is insane. Like, look at Jeremy Grant's game logs. I know he's 8.2K. It's a 3-game slate, but 57.75, 34.5, 44, 50.5, 47.5, 42.5. I get it. It's a hefty price tag, but what are you doing with him in tournaments?
Yeah, so it's funny, people that don't know the wet story and all that. He was going on in Discord saying that he was the worst starter in the NBA last year when he was in the playoffs. And we're going now, like, worst starter, like, there's some pretty bad guys. That Okaru starts in the NBA. Like, there's some pretty bad starters.
So this is around the playoffs, right? So Okoro wasn't there. But my favorite part was, like, you can't tell me JaVale McGee is better than him, right? Like, I mean, JaVale McGee's fun. He's fine. He does his job. But there's no way JaVale McGee is better than a guy like Jeremy Grant.
I mean, Eric Bledsoe, who I hate, but you can go guys way worse. Derek Jones, these guys are fine. But anyway, I think Jeremy Grant's solid. He's proven this year that he's a hooper. Like, he's putting up numbers on a bad team. But 8.2K, I mean, I don't know. That number, I just cannot stomach that, even in tournaments. But he's going to be, 1%, 2% in tournaments. So you can make a case for it for sure. 8.2K with guys like D Russ right there in the same price range, even as a cash guy trying to get creative. I mean, that's tough to pull the trigger on, but hey, 1%, 2%, he's showing a ceiling. So it makes sense.
Hoop, I'll pose this question to you. Cause again, like, I didn't understand how great he's been doing, right? I don't watch much Pistons. I haven't been playing much Pistons in DFS. I've seen the price climb. I know he's been playing great. Could you somehow go to it? I mean, he does seem safer than you'd expect. And the game should be decently close with the Heat playing with kind of some scrubs, right? They got Okpala in there. They got Duncan Robinson in there, who I'm not scared of defensively. Kelly Olynyk. Like, this is not the same Heat team.
Yeah, I mean, I can't do it. I mean, but I get it. I'd have to play those other guys over Grant at those price tags. I mean, maybe the tournament people have a different mindset with it, but I don't see. I mean, this guy hasn't been like owned at all, so no one's really playing him. But you know what? I mean, he's producing. I mean, he certainly is producing. So I won't do it, but I mean, if he continues producing like this, it's going to be harder to make the case against it, I guess.
The problem is the price keeps going up, right? Like, so you can't get on now. Like, it's hard. I get it. That's why I'm asking the question. I'm just trying to think in the tournament mind, trying to find the different things on a 3-game slate.
I see this guy in chat though, Roderick Pope. Just because Grant's the number one option in Detroit, he's definitely not safer than D'Angelo Russell today, though. Like you get D'Angelo, he says Grant's safer than Russell. I don't think so. If you think so, though, I mean, you're going to get Grant at 1/10 of the ownership as you are D Russ. But if you just look at the game script, the usage for Russell and all that, Grant's definitely not safer. Don't do Grant over Russell in tournament or in cash games. I'll say that. If you want to go Grant, play tournaments.
Ted, I'll give you one more question. What about Bam on FanDuel specifically, right? The power forward seems decently loaded today. Like we talked about Aaron Gordon being a great play. I think Robert Covington for cheap isn't a bad route to go. Naz Reid is another cheap option who we didn't talk too much about. And you got John Collins at 6'6" at a decent tag. If Mitchell Robinson's out, that even helps Julius Randle more at 8'9". Bam might be running the point guard if Herro's out. Like there's a lot of interesting stuff to go here. So what do you think of Bam on FanDuel?
Yeah, definitely 8,500. So if you think he's going to go overlooked, I haven't really built yet because I'm waiting on Mitchell Robinson news and stuff, but I think he's a 8,500 still affordable price tag for him. It doesn't stand out as way too cheap, but I don't think it's too expensive. So I think he's in play for tournaments and cash games. And if you tell me that he's going to be overlooked, especially, then I like him a lot more on tournaments, especially.
All right, Hoop, I'm looking at the chat. We hit it, right? We're 119 likes. Guys, please hit the like, hit the subscribe to check out all of our content. But Hoop's going to pick someone in the chat with one of the comments in there to give away some swag. And then let us know if there's another number you want to set for the people here for the next swag giveaway if we can get to that.
All right, yeah, I'll dig in here. Let's continue. We got to find a good winner. I mean, it's early in the morning. You know, got some good momentum going here on the show. I got to find someone that really earned it. So let's.
So we can wait, Hoop. We can wait till the end of the show, I guess, and that's okay, right? So keep hitting that like.
Give me some time.
Yeah, we'll give Hoop some time again. It's a slower show, right? Because it's an early show, 10 a.m. Not everyone expected this. I'm sure a lot of people woke up this morning and realized, oh, there's a 12 o'clock basketball game. They didn't even see that coming. So let's dive in and go and talk about the next game. And again, another game where there's not a lot of defense going to be played. This is the Spurs and this is the Trailblazers. 224.5 total, and a great game to target with DFS. While Hoop's looking in the chat comments and diving in, we'll go to you, Titletown. Kick it off for us here. Blazers, Spurs. How are you handling this great game for DFS?
Yeah, so McCollum's out. That's all you really need to hear. McCollum out. Blazers are going to be in play in a lot of them. So you start up, Dame Lillard. He's the best play on the slate. It's Dame without McCollum. Not much needs to be said. He's affordable. Gary Trent is our second best play on the slate, I think. 3,600 on FanDuel, 4,000 on DraftKings. His role just expands a ton. So the guy does something way too cheap for his role. I like it. Derek Jones, Carmelo, Enes Kanter are the next three that I have interest in. I like their prices on DraftKings a lot. I'll throw Robert Covington into that equation on FanDuel too, 4,800 power forward. I don't like him as much at 5,300 on DraftKings, so I'm not going to really refer to him there. But all those guys I just mentioned, Melo, Covington, Derek Jones, just more minutes with CJ McCollum off the court, more shots with CJ off the court. Defense is going to focus on Dame. So Dame's going to get some more assists, I think, than he usually does. Find these open shooters, find these guys. It's just so hard to avoid them with one of the best players off the team. So tons of Portland chalk. They're going to be chalky, but it's hard to get off of them necessarily. I think you can pivot to the Timberwolves guys more so in tournaments. Do you think – I have a question for you, Mango. So do you think that the Portland guys are going to be way more over-owned than guys like Okogie and Culver in that, I take it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like basically play Blazers, play Timberwolves kind of slate.
Stars and scrub.
Yeah. Play the value on the Timberwolves, play the Portland. I guess not stars, but there are scrubs you can obviously play. Like Kanter's more of a mid-tier guy, right? But I mean, Lillard's going to be like 1,000% owned, and he should be. I mean, he's going to absolutely crush in this spot. And I think it's basically going to leave like the mid-tier more ignored, right? I mean, a guy like Cantor won't get ignored because he's going to see an extreme amount of usage. You kind of have to play a center too on this slate. So yeah, I think you're just going to see a lot of both, right? Like the guys who are going to go under-owned are like the Spurs on the other side. They're going to get pretty under-owned. The Hawks, they might get a little under-owned on DK, not all the way, right? But I think you might see some ownership that could be lower on them. That's kind of my full breakdown on it.
Yeah, so that makes sense. It's just, it's tough to avoid. You're going to need at least 2 Portland guys in your lineup. If you're MMEing or any of that, I'm making a rule, at least 2 of these guys, just because they're standing out. Outside of Cantor's in the mid-tier, though, like Covington's cheap, Melo's cheap, Derek Jones is cheap, Gary Trent's cheap. You guys get it. Portland's a great play today, so all of them are in play if you think about it. Find the best ones. I personally lean more so Dame, and then I like Gary Trent, like I said, then I'll fill it out with either Melo, Jones, or Cantor. Not going to go crazy in tournaments and play 5 of them, though, because the reasons we mentioned earlier. On the Spurs side, running it back. On FanDuel, I like Aldridge and Gay a little bit. The problem with Gay is he's at a small forward position. 4,100 feels cheap, though, but the position's okay where I'm not sure I want to do that. Aldridge, same thing. He's 6,000, though. I think he makes for a good tournament play on FanDuel because you mentioned power forward. There's Bam. There's a lot of other guys that stand out that could be, especially like if Mitchell Robinson is out. Isn't Nerlens Noel still power forward eligible, I believe, on FanDuel? I'm not confirming that, but power forward's loaded. John Collins, Bam, different routes to go. So I think Aldridge is like 5% owned. Makes sense over there. And then DraftKings, Aldridge is 6,400, so harder to go over there. I don't have any interest in any Spurs on DraftKings, actually. All their prices are too high for me. Better on FanDuel, but it's tough to go to the Spurs today with all this Minnesota and Portland value.
Yeah, but they are playing the Portland Trailblazers, and they're terrible on defense. If there's a team I love to target in DFS, it's them, right? Like them, the Kings, the Hawks, the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
We got a lot of bad defense.
Did you see that tweet yesterday? The Kings point totals, what they've given up in the last like 8 games. It's like over 125 every game.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. I mean, it's a disaster. And part of me feels like it's because of that like weird double big lineup they've been doing with Bagley and Holmes. Like it just isn't I shouldn't say it's not the best, but I think it's just getting killed so badly defensively because they can't cover the perimeter, I would assume, correct?
So Matt, what Spurs though, like the prices on DraftKings, I just think are all a couple hundred more than they should be. And like, it just doesn't, is there like, who's your favorite Spurs? If you're going to be running it back and stuff, who do you like?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely pricey. I mean, obviously DeJounte Murray is 8.1. We have a value. It's a tough price. What about DeRozan's 8.9? You're all right. They are expensive price tags, but like, what is their ownership, right? Like, how much salary are you willing to give up for lower ownership on a 3-game slate? It depends what tournament you're playing, right? If you're playing like let's say hoops in like, I don't know, like the 1K or the 2K tournament, like he's not going to go to those guys. But if you're in that $15, like I do think it's maybe worth doing it. Like, is Lonnie Walker at 5.5K the worst guy to go to? Would you rather go to DeJounte Murray, who has a ceiling? We have seen it, right? He has had 51 fantasy points against the Timberwolves. He could easily do that against a team like the Trailblazers. I guess I would lean Murray because I just think he's like the most talented of the bunch, or maybe I'd lean LaMarcus Aldridge as an interesting option. But man, Aldridge is not the most fun roster, and I kind of want to roster more of like the young, talented player. So I'm going to lean Murray as my guy. Hoop, do you have a take on that?
Yeah, I mean, the Spurs, I've kind of talked about it last few times they've been on the slates. Like, they're a team right now for me that they need injuries before I'm willing to play them. I mean, they have a lot of guys, and none of them are cheap. That's the problem, especially on DK. Like, I mean, you're paying a premium for the Spurs. I get it. The matchup's good, but Keldon Johnson, 7K. DeMar DeRozan, 8.9K. DeJounte Murray, 8.1K. Can't pay those price tags. Are you kidding? On this slate, there's no damn way. And I get it. The matchup is good. It's a close spread. There's a lot of teams you can classify like that. Like, I'm not playing guys until there's an injury, and the Spurs are honestly probably at the top of the list right now. Like, I'm not doing it. Like, there's no point. Rudy Gay on FanDuel, like title set. Yeah, sure, he's cheap. I mean, you could play him there. He's 4.1K. Patty Mills is cheap on FanDuel, but they're just not going to be a priority unless their roles are bigger via injury or someone sitting out or whatever. I can't do it. Like, I can't justify it, even in tournaments, really. On the Blazers side, you have a plethora of plays. I mean, the plays are endless. Obviously, Lillard will be highest owned guy on the slate, and rightfully so. But then you got other guys that are just strong options. Like, if you want a full punt, Anthony Simons, I'm fine playing him. He's 3K on DK, 3.5K. He's been bad this year, but he is a guy we saw last year. He can get it going, and he can put up points quickly. So I don't mind him as a punt. Probably better on DK though, opposed to FanDuel. Derek Jones, has been terrible for fantasy purposes, but if you're playing alongside Dame Lillard and CJ McCollum, odds are you're not going to be very productive fantasy. We've seen Jones have a bad fantasy season. Covington has been a disaster. Those guys are going to produce a little bit more, and their prices don't necessarily reflect this new role without CJ McCollum. So I think Derek Jones is in the conversation. Covington, better FanDuel play, but I think he's still in play on DK. I really like Cantor. Obviously he'll have ownership, but when he's out there, he just produces, and at the minimum, without foul trouble, play upper 20s in terms of minutes with a massive usage. So he's a very strong play. Carmelo, I think, is a really good play. Gary Trent Jr. is a really, really good play. If you're MMEing, it's an easy situation. I'd be looking to get exposure to all these guys and kind of just limit how many you play per lineup. They're all strong plays. You can make a case for probably 8 guys on the Timberwolves. Rodney Hood, I think, you can throw in the conversation as well. He's 3.1K. Only played 13 minutes last game, but that was mostly in the second half when McCollum was out. So he'll play probably 20-some minutes. So 8 dudes on the Trailblazers in play. I think they're all strong options. But Spurs, man, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, let me sell you on something with Robert Covington. So I dug into him a little bit because I was looking at power forward, and when I ran some optimals, I didn't see Robert Covington popping in as much. And I was like, that could be the Trailblazer. That could be really interesting in tournaments that might get more overlooked, right? People might go the stars and scrubs route, and Covington at 5'3" doesn't necessarily fit that stars and scrubs route, right? Like Derek Jones Jr. at 3'8", people might gravitate towards him. They might gravitate towards a guy like Simons. And I looked at Covington more, and he shot 1 for 7 last game from 3. The game before that, 1 for 5. And he only got 28 minutes in the last game. But you know what? He didn't close the game out. And I don't think he didn't close the game. I think it was because Derek Jones Jr. was playing well. So here was the lineup they went with. And I'm trying to figure out how they're going to close their next game out. The team that they went with without having all these guys, they closed with, there was no CJ McCollum. They closed with Carmelo Anthony, Damian Lillard, Derek Jones Jr., Enes Kanter, and Gary Trent Jr., which I think makes sense to play all those guys, except I think you could see Derek Jones Jr. because he was playing such a good game. I think you see him get switched out for Covington, and Covington might get more than 28 minutes. He might get up to 34, and he gets to go against the Spurs, who are giving up the second most three-pointers in the league right now. So I think Covington is a really good GPP play and a solid cash game play. The only worry I have with Covington and cash is there's a lot of really good plays on the slate, right? So I don't know if I want to jam him in necessarily, but I think he's a really good option.
So I agree with that point. Like it's Derek Jones and Covington are kind of playing against each other for I think that final spot because they feel really good with Trent out there. You can totally tell they feel good with Carmelo out there. I think it's coming down to Jones or Covington. So if you're doing tournaments, I don't mind setting a rule to only play one of those guys because I really don't think they correlate good between each other in that starting lineup. One of them's probably going to have a strong game and one could potentially disappoint, but each guy individually, I think, is a strong option today.
Yeah. Tyler, what do you think about that? And we're not doing Anthony Simons, right? Like he's not closing. Like we've done this before. I think it's a hard pass, right?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think you hit it on the head. I think it's either one of, maybe it is Covington and Derek Jones. And if Melo has a bad shooting day and they need more speed and defense out there, maybe it's not Melo. I think you never know what Stotts is necessarily going to do.
Yeah. And Title Lakers Taylor said in the chat, Melo played the last 17 minutes. Like that might not happen again too. You could see Melo sit more and that could get more minutes for Covington as well.
Yeah, exactly. I was watching that game. I mean, Melo was feeling himself. When he got the ball, he was pulling and it was going in. So it's hard to take a guy out like that. So
but we haven't talked about Melo enough, Title. Like he's a guy, he loves to shoot the ball. Like you just said it. Like he could get a lot of usage funneled to him and be a really good option.
Oh, I like Melo. I always like Melo. Anyone that's going to come in the game and actually shoot the basketball and give yourself a chance to get points. I like those guys. So yeah, I definitely like Melo. I always like Melo. But yeah, I think Covington's minutes might go up a little more from last game. Like I said, like Lakers said, Melo got hot, 17 minutes. I don't think you see that for sure. And the Blazers could also, if they wanted, go small. I don't think they do it this game, but they've shown some Robert Covington at the 5 with Derek Jones and Melo and just 3 bigger bodies to move around and stuff. But I don't expect that in this matchup. I think it's Cantor, but it's really tough to pinpoint this Blazers rotation late in the game because maybe it is Simons. I don't know. What if he's out there for 25 minutes and is playing really well and then Trent's out instead of Simons? It's so hard to guess all that stuff. I usually go with the starters and all that, but I wouldn't expect Melo playing 17 minutes in the second half every game. That's for sure.
Well, listen, Gary Trent can shoot, man. So against this defense, he's going to carve it up, I think. I love him. You love him too. I'm sure Hoop does as well. And it's a birthday narrative for Mr. Gary Trent Jr. If you notice in the chat.
Don't even tell us. Oh, geez.
There you go, Hoop. So I don't know if you're pro or anti-birthday narrative, but you got to get excited for the birthday, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, now I like him even more, like way more. I wasn't going to play him. Now I'm lockbusting him.
Now Hoop is in. That's how he adjusts his rankings. He's in there cranking the model out.
Yeah. No, I really like Trent today. Good play.
For sure. Guys, please hit that like, hit that subscribe on the video. We'd appreciate it a ton. Also want to mention, we got a little code here for you, Workbench 21, get you 25% off your first payment. Use that and, sign up for Run Pure Sports. We got some awesome content here. Hoop, what are we doing with the Workbench play of the day? I don't know. This is your segment, right? How do you want to handle this now with no Big T here?
Yeah, no Big T. So we've been phoning in to Tony, and he's been giving us a play on the NFL shows. I'll sub in today. Right. I know it's not going to be a Big T play. But I'm going to sub in and find us a winner here. Give me a minute. Let's wrap up the slate.
I'll go first when Hoop's looking and all that. Talking earlier, has to be lower owned, obviously the plays and stuff, but Anthony Edwards is my guy today in tournaments. I think he comes very, very under owned. Everyone else is going to look at the other Timberwolves value, the other Portland value, stars and scrubs. Edwards is a little mid-tier range, so I think he gets overlooked, and he has a ceiling like anybody else. He can get 40 for you, absolutely break a 3-game slate. So Anthony Edwards coming off the bench. I like him today as my Carhartt play of the day. I'm going to use that name since it did me well for Dame last time.
Yeah. All right. I found my guy. I found the guy. I'm going to try to make Big T proud. I don't know if it'll work or not, but obviously we know there's a ton of value on this slate, and some of those value plays are going to be pretty high owned, but the official Workbench play of the day is going to be KZ Okpala. All right. He came out firing last game, got hot. Obviously a better play if Hero's out, but give me some Okpala here.
Mr. Okpala for Hoop. I'm going to give you Mr. Robert Covington as my guy, I would say. I kind of just talked about it right before. I think the stats all line up. Things go pretty well for him there. That'll be mine. Again, that's not the Big T's not here to give that, but Hoop will do his best to sub in.
Yes.
And we'll try our best to take it down for you guys. One last thing before we get out of here. Hoop, you got to pick that chatter, right? So find that chatter for us. Then I'm going to mention Monkey Knife Fight we have going on here. Hoop posted some winners over there yesterday at Monkey Knife Fight for the NFL Discord. All you got to do is get into the Discord chat. Head into the Monkey Knife Fight Discord area, and you can, get all the winners that we post and talk with all the chatters about finding some Monkey Knife Fight plays. All you gotta do is use that code RUNPURE. Again, the code is RUNPURE. You get a match deposit bonus of $50. So do that, and Hoop, give us that chatter that's gonna win the swag.
The winner is Bill DeLuca, and he's kind of just playing on the little ongoing joke that we have here. 110, so referring to the likes, Workbench flow. Tony will be dropping at UPS today, right? It kind of just playing on our little game with Tony going after lock and heading over to the it's FedEx. It's not UPS, it's FedEx. But I like that one. So Bill DeLuca, send either Tony a message or info at Run Pure Sports.
Yep, info at Run Pure Sports, or hit us up in the Discord. Find a way to get to us. But that'll wrap it up for us, guys. Be sure to check out the free, and I mean free, Final Countdown show with JSU and Holden. I believe it'll be at like 6:45, an hour before the lock, right? So, check it out, 6:45, 6:30, whatever time they decide to pick for you guys. Head on over to the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel like you're here right now. Hit that subscribe now so you get notified later so you can watch that show. JSU will be giving out his free winners for you guys. He'll be going over the premium content too. Let's say you're watching this show right now and you don't know anything about our premium content. They'll be showcasing that on the Final Countdown show. So head on over, do that, hit that like, hit that subscribe for us. We appreciate it a ton. But we got to get on out of here, guys. Thanks a lot for joining us. For me, Mangone, Hoop, and Titletown, we are out of here.
Good luck, guys.